The daughter-in-law of Queen Victoria of England has attracted the attention of high society as the most prominent member of the royal family. The only daughter of Tsar Alexander II of Russia became the Duchess of Edinburgh at the age of 19. And from the very beginning, the ruling circles of Great Britain did not put up with the peculiarities of Maria Alexandrovna. And the latter thought that the foreign environment of Grey London was not suitable for her. What were the English princesses jealous of, and why did Queen Victoria dislike her charming daughter-in-law? The Grand Duchess was the only daughter of Alexander II and the German Princess Maria of Hesse. Her older sister did not live to be 7 years old, so her father treated the younger one with extreme reverence. The emperor called Maria his beloved cherub, and her mother spent days showering her with kisses and granting her every wish. The princess was in poor health, so she spent the harsh months of the year in the south of Europe, feasting on overseas delicacies. Maria Alexandrovna demonstrated her independent character from early childhood. At the same time, she was diligent in the sciences and grasped knowledge on the fly. At the age of 15, Maria saw her future husband, Prince Alfred, for the first time. The second son of the English queen immediately drew attention to the pretty Russian, without arousing sympathy in return. But he couldn't forget the blue eyes of his beloved princess. When the couple met again 3 years later, the prince began to behave more aggressively. Maria had already fallen in love by then, and the marriage proposal was not long in coming. Alexander II was unhappy with this news. In addition to his reluctance to become related to the British, he did not want to part with his beloved child. Queen Victoria reacted to her son's intentions in much the same way. Political opponents had not previously sealed their courts with marriage bonds. But Alfred, in love, did not back down from his own, and Victoria had to initiate negotiations with St. Petersburg. The Russian emperor politely entered into a dialogue and did not interfere with his daughter's will. After a vacation in Germany, where the young people went to get to know each other better, an official offer was received. At the beginning of the following year, lavish wedding celebrations began. Moreover, the wedding took place first according to Orthodox custom and only then according to the traditions of the British. Alexander II organized something grandiose in Russia, shocking the English public on a grand scale. In anticipation of the arrival of the royal daughter-in-law, the London confectionery Pickford has released a new cookie named after a stranger. But there was hardly anything in Britain that could surprise Maria. From the first day of her life, she was surrounded by honors and luxury and came to England with a dowry such as Victoria's daughters had never dreamed of. Maria and her husband settled into a comfortable Clarence house, but nothing away from home pleased the Grand Duchess. The weather was disgusting, the ceremonies at the British court seemed boring, and the new relatives were not trustworthy. Maria Alexandrovna began to devote all her time to orthodoxy without even thinking about converting to Protestantism. An Orthodox chapel was built at Clarence House, and the Duchess was always surrounded by an Orthodox confessor. Maria Alexandrovna was immediately disliked in court. She was considered a grumpy, self-confident, and spoiled foreigner who looked down on everyone. Even the Russian daughter-in-law made it clear to the queen at every opportunity that she would not be able to subdue her. Instead of Royal Highness, she demanded to be called Imperial Highness, and if her wishes were not fulfilled, she would annoy the queen in every possible way. For example, knowing full well that the queen hates breastfeeding, she deliberately fed the children in Victoria's presence. And at court celebrations, she did not miss the opportunity to surpass Victoria with the brilliance of diamonds and sapphires brought from Russia. The English queen did not have treasures of this level, but we must pay tribute to the mother-in-law, who over the years appreciated Maria's firm character. As a result, the queen came to respect her sweet daughter-in-law and even decorated her private dining room with her portrait. By 1884, Alfred and Maria were raising 5 children. The head of the family was often absent due to long trips, and Maria Alexandrovna devoted herself to her heirs, in whom she skillfully fostered hostility towards the British. In 1893, Alfred inherited the German Coburg, and the family happily left the London mists. Maria found life in Germany much more comfortable. This culture was closer to the daughter of a princess of German descent. Maria Alexandrovna was now called the Duchess of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, retaining the title of Duchess of Edinburgh. But Maria's husband, on the contrary, lost the joy of life. Everything in Germany was alien to him. He longed for London and service in the British Navy, had constant difficulties with the language, and lost his favorite hobby, philately. Alfred began to abuse alcohol and finally got drunk by the end of his life. Maria Alexandrovna took up the successful marriage of her daughters. She was the first to form an alliance with the Crown Prince of Romania, the second with the sovereign Duke Ernest Ludwig of Hesse, the third married Prince Ernst V of Hohenlohe-Langenburg, and the youngest tied the knot with Prince Alphonse of Orleans, Infante of Spain. All the parties were brilliant, and all that remained was to triple the future of his only son, Crown Prince Alfred. But on the day of his 25th birthday, the grandson of the Russian emperor tried to shoot himself. Later it turned out that a lover of gambling and casual relationships contracted syphilis and broke down. 2 weeks after the incident, Alfred died. A year later, Maria's husband died, which greatly affected her mental state. With the outbreak of the First World War, the Russian princess supported Germany, not her homeland. But due to anti-Russian sentiments, she was forced to leave the duchy without becoming one of her own abroad. Maria Alexandrovna spent the rest of her life in Switzerland, forced to trade family jewels for a piece of bread.